In the Hebrew tradition, there's this word shalom, which literally means peace or completeness or welfare. And because of sin, things have been put into chaos, but God created, they saw in Genesis 1 and 2, the world into a rhythm of shalom, peace and joy and completeness. And then because of what Jesus has done, bringing the resurrection and the new creation in the New Testament, he is bringing back that idea of shalom and rest and rhythm. And I think we missed out on that a lot. I actually read an article a couple days ago that said that in the United States, we work more per hour and per week than any other developed nation out there. And I think with that, we lose sense of rest and Sabbath and joy and peace. And we're kind of all running around trying to do our jobs more hours than we should be. We say goodbye to our family, or we sacrifice other things for work. And how much does it actually give us, or how much do we actually gain? And a few things I want to highlight in this video is a few patterns we see in Genesis that can actually not only allow us to work better, but also rest better, because work is mandated by God, that's for sure, and we are created that way to kind of work and to put our hands towards something, but rest is also mandated as well. And in Genesis, you see this beautiful rhythm, right? That God enacts the world in rhythm. There's sun, and then there's the moon. There is night, and then there is day. And one thing that's really interesting is every day after creation, it says kind of in this rhythmic way, and there's evening, and there's morning, the first night. And then it'll say, and there's evening, and there's morning, the second night. Now what's interesting is notice, first of all, how that starts with evening. Now, we don't start our days with evening. We think the day starts in the morning, but why do we think that? I mean, I think part of that is because we're so self-centered. We think when we get up, that's just now everything's about us, right? But what's interesting is God starts the day with the evening. The day apparently starts when we go to sleep, which shows a few things. First of all, it shows that we're really not the center of the story. God is. And secondly, how beautiful of a promise is that God is actually working and moving when we're asleep. Like, we don't have to do it all. I mean, think about that. If you sleep 8 hours on average a day, you sleep for almost, and you live to 90 years old, you sleep 30 years of your life. So I think God is the one that we need to see as in control, on the throne, king, and he is ruling and reigning, and we just respond to that. And then the last thing that's really interesting is Genesis is notice how God creates everything, and then on the sixth day, the kind of the last day of creation per se, he creates man. He creates Adam and Eve, and then the last day is the Sabbath, where it says he rests. Now God obviously didn't need to rest, but he put that into the rhythm of the world so that we might follow. Now think about this for a second. So God creates everything, and then he rests, but and Adam is created on that last day before the Sabbath. Now, if you're Adam, imagine your first living breath. Your first living breath, the first time you open your eyes, the first time you see God's creation, is actually God's rest. Because after Adam was created, it says that God took a Sabbath. God rested. So the first breath Adam took was actually in God's rest. And then the week came after that. So rather than seeing a week of happening and then rest, we see that Adam actually entered into the rest out of his creation and then worked after that and did what God commanded him after that. And so my encouragement today, it's small, but I think also a lot of times we don't do it, is do you rest? Do you have a rhythm of rest? Do you have a Sabbath of rest? And it can be any day, it can be any way, it can be creative, but are you starting from the rest that God has created you for and then working from that, or are you trying to work really hard in hopes you can get to the rest, which is not the right way to do it? And so I pray that's an encouragement to you. Be creative. I know for me, sometimes I'll rest on a Saturday because I travel. Sometimes it'll be a Wednesday. Sometimes something that makes me feel restful is if I turn my phone off and don't turn it back on till lunchtime, so I can have that morning to think and pray and journal. Whatever it is, be creative and know that God actually created you for rest and for rhythm, and joy is on the other side. Love you guys.